Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a great day. And above all else, that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Today, ladies and gentlemen, the gang are back with part two of our album anniversaries for the month of May. We are looking at four albums that are celebrating their 50th anniversary for the month of May 1976. But before we get into the list of four, I want to welcome back to the channel Sagosh. How are you doing, Sagosh?
Doing good. Good to be back.
Good that you're here. And the one and only Gilligan. Sorry, Ken Cheshire. Whenever I see you with that hat, it reminds me of Gilligan's
I
Island.
know,
I'm
I
sorry. I'm
know.
sorry.
Well, it's better than seeing my toe head, so that's okay.
Oh my
Good to see
God.
you guys.
Okay. No, good that you're back. Good that you're back. Um, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we have four albums to talk about. I'm not going to say an eclectic list, but you know, it's an interesting list. Um, Up first on the list, we have Aerosmith with Rocks. Their fourth release, released on May 3rd, 1976, for Columbia Records. The album was recorded between February to March of 76. Produced by Jack Douglas, who at one point was working with Alice Cooper, and has a massive playing time. Massive. Of 34 minutes and 57 seconds. Now, just a little side note. Upon release, this album reached platinum status in North America, and it was listed at the time, sorry, as being Aerosmith's most heaviest albums in terms of musical style compared to the previous three. I will give my opinion at the end. Who shall I pick on first? Ken,
Okay.
your view?
Been a long time since I listened to this album. Um, Whereas I'm not a huge fan of Aerosmith, they may be one of those bands where, for me, a really extensive greatest hits would probably be, good enough.
Yeah.
But this is the era of Aerosmith that I do like best, the early years. It's a mixed bag for me. There are um, three songs that that strike me. "Last Child" is maybe my favorite Aerosmith song. I'm not sure. I think it's not quite in your face. Um Although Back in the Saddle, the opener, which is in your face, is quite a strong, nice opener.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but overall, it's a mixed bag for me. Um, it does have those really fast rockers. I tend to lean more towards the mid-tempo stuff on this album and for them in general. Um, but it's good on a scale from 1 to 10. I'd put it probably at about a 6.5. Um, Definitely, if you want to, if someone's not familiar with Aerosmith and wants to give them a good intro, this might be a really good album to do that. But
Okay.
um, but like I said, yeah, it's okay. It's pretty much the way I remembered it being. Um, I have it in my collection, but I don't go to it very often, if ever. Like I say, this is a band that for me, a good double disc greatest hits is probably good enough. I
Okay.
would miss some of the deep album tracks on some of the albums, but that's okay.
That's all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. All right. Sagosh, your view?
Something similar, I would say. I was very briefly an Aerosmith fan sometime in the early 90s when Get a Grip had come out and they were all over MTV and stuff. I was digging into some of the oldest albums at that time. I remember they did a video for Sweet Emotion as well, and that got me checking out some of the
Yeah.
earlier albums.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was brief. I mean,
Mm.
Pretty much by the time they released their next album, I had lost interest. I wasn't really listening to them much anymore. Although those, like Ken said, they have, a solid bunch of maybe 8 or 10 tracks that are like really, really essential and enjoyable at all points of time. Those, have sort of stood the test. But, they're not a band noted for some remarkable consistency or ability to really do something different or interesting.
Hmm.
As- if you like that kind of stuff, you'll probably like every album. And if it's not your thing, you'll stick to the one or two memorable tracks that he put in on every record. This one starts off quite strong, as Ken said. Back in the Saddle is it's a hell of an opener. I mean, it really sets the pace.
Yeah.
Last Trail slows it down a bit, but in a very interesting way. And it may not be my all-time favorite Aerosmith song. That is still "Dream On," but it's very close. It's an
Yeah.
interesting one. It's a rare Aerosmith song that actually goes places you wouldn't expect to go, and keeps it fun. Keeps it a little speculative. You're not quite sure where this is going, as compared to a lot of their stuff, which is very regulation hard rock. So yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Rats in the Cellar is maybe a sort of cynical attempt to recreate Toys in the Attic, and
Yeah.
it's only partially successful. I mean, the pace is good. The riffing is good. It keeps you interested, but if you heard Toys in the Attic, you know this is just sort of a cheap copy. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm.
at this point, it just kind of goes downhill. I couldn't really remember any of the other tracks. Nobody's Fault was mildly interesting, slightly heavier
Hmm.
riffage, gave me a bit of a Black Sabbath vibe. Uh, it was a bit unusual. But the rest of it, really, nothing sticks in the head. And I think this is sort of par for the course for Aerosmith. You have like maybe 2 or 3 great tracks on an
Hmm.
album, and the rest of it like middling stuff. So I would say probably if you're a fan, this probably works for you, and if you're not, this is exactly what you expect from Aerosmith. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's it's okay.
Yeah. Sweet
Hmm.
Emotion is also in my top three for them
Oh yeah, I love a track.
with that bass line. Oh,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I had this album uh back in the 90s when I bought the Box of Fire box set,
I've got that too.
the
Yeah.
box with the match stick
Hmm.
with the as the handle for the lid. Yeah, Aerosmith, I mean, there's a lot more to Aerosmith than, Permanent Vacation and, Pump and Get a Grip. There's a catalog prior to that, okay,
Yeah.
beyond the Geffen years.
Yep.
And but at the same time, I do see this, like I was just saying prior to taping. To me, Aerosmith is like AC/DC. You know what you're going to get. Like, very meat and potatoes, very sort of in your face, heavy rock. That being said, I think I agree with Ken. Back in the Saddle, a great album opener. Just heavy as all get out. Joey Kramer on drums, like boom, right in your face. And I'm not even talking about the guitar. So it's a good album opener. And I got to say too, this was when they were, I don't know, I guess you could say allowing the other band members, Tom Hamilton, Brad
Yeah.
Whitford, and Joey Kramer to contribute to the musical arrangements and the writing
Yeah.
before they started going outside the band for
Hmm.
songs. It is it's a heavy album. The songs that do stick out for me are Back in the Saddle and Last Child, the singles for the album. But other than that, Nobody's Fault's a good track. Whenever I see it, Nobody's Fault, I keep thinking, no, nobody's fault but mine,
Yeah. Me too.
from Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But It's a good album. Nothing really to write home about. This was when they were in the heyday of their drug use and alcoholism. I mean, Joe Perry said that he wrote Back in the Saddle on a six-string bass, totally high, like off his rocker, done, right? Like his brain was fried, but he was writing music, right? So if this is what you're doing when you're high, like, oh my God, yeah, it is what it is. It's a good mid-70s rock album, but is it their best? I think that Aerosmith has a hard time writing consistently good albums from, say, track one to track 10. You know what I mean? On an album. Let's not even talk about Honkin' on Bobo. Forget that. But I'm not even going to go there. Um,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Uh, if I was to rate it, I'd give it, yeah, 5.5 or 6 if I was to rate it.
Yeah.
But nothing really to write home about. Moving on. We got to move on, ladies and gentlemen. Our next album. And this was an album I do believe that um, Sagosh suggested for this list. And thank you, Sagosh.
It was a
Warren
great
Zevon,
suggestion.
self-titled. Um, oh my goodness. My head's all over the place. Released May 18th, 1976. Recorded from 75 to 76 for Asylum Records. I do believe it's a second release. I don't know why in my notes it says fourth release, but it's a second release, follow-up to his release from 1970 called Wanted Dead or Alive. Uh, Record was produced by Jackson Brown, listed as rock, pop, country rock, folk, and yeah, it's all there. A very interesting album. Ken, your view?
I think the pairing of Warren Zevon with Jackson Brown um, in the studio was a really good pairing, really good match. This album really shows Warren Zevon as a consummate storyteller.
Yeah,
He doesn't just write love songs; he writes stories. Um, this is a perfect example of, um, in most of these songs, elements of his dark humor that sometimes across his catalog it could make one a little bit uncomfortable. It's so dark.
yeah.
But that was him. He wasn't trying to freak anybody out. He just had a dark sense of humor. So many of his songs have involve at least one shady character. Um, and sometimes references to um, kind of bad guys, what in often kind of a stylized Western type of bad guy. Guns show up in several of his songs throughout, um, and he has a very distinct piano style in his playing. It's sparse, yet it's very melodic. You're not going to find Rick Wakeman piano on these albums for
No,
sure.
no,
But it really does. I mean, you can just picture him sitting at the piano, um, you know, playing and singing these songs. It's really nice. Um, of course, for me, the real standout song on this album, and for me, this is a very solid album. Um, Warren Zevon, but Poor Pitiful Me. I had heard the Linda Ronstadt cover of this
hmm
before Zevon's, and so the Ronstadt's version sticks in my mind more because I've just heard it a lot more. But his version is a bit raw, or rawer, or more raw than hers is, which brings the lyrics a little closer to home. Um, but it's just um, it's what we got 14 tracks or something like that. Um,
Uh, 11.
11 tracks. Um, it's a storybook. The whole album it's a storybook with 11 stories.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
um, like I said, I like Jackson Brown's production on these albums. I think they fit very well together. I could just see them having, you know, a, a good fun time in the studio.
yeah,
There's a couple of these that really have almost what I would call um, Jackson Brown harmonies in them, more vocal dubs and stuff like that. But, mostly Warren Zevon stuff is just straight lead vocal. And that's just fine with me. So Warren Zevon, God bless him, gone much too soon. Um, a fascinating life story if anyone wants to dive into it. Yes, thank you, Shagosh, for recommending this. I
yeah.
hadn't heard
This,
this in a long time, and um, it was a bit nostalgic for me. I love Warren.
yeah. Okay. Thank you for that,
Mhm.
Sagosh. You?
See, I'm not as familiar with this album as I was with the one that followed, Excitable Boy, which is
Mhm.
like an all-time favorite for me. I have
Sure.
played that over and over and over. It's insanely good. This one, just like Ken, I was more familiar with the two tracks that were recorded by Linda Ronstadt. I heard those very, very early on, much before I had any concept of who Warren Zevon was or what these lyrics meant. In fact, Linda's version of Carmelita, I feel kind of deliberately dials down on the word heroin. You can't even really make out what she's singing. So, I was happily singing along to that song at like age 10 or 11 or something, having no clue what it was about. So, yeah, but I still have a soft spot for those versions. I think that particular album has some quality covers, excellent singing and playing from Linda and her band. Uh, but yeah, coming back to Z1, once I discovered that he was the one who wrote these songs, I went off and started getting into his albums, and this is a hell of a record. It mystifies me. I mean, I'm going to have to dig up on his history and find out why it took 6 years to make this album because somebody with this kind of talent really should have been out there much, much sooner.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Because it
insane.
was, sorry, it was 6 years between Wanted Dead or Alive, recorded for Liberty Records, and you know this for Asylum. So yeah, sorry, quite a
But I
long
could
time.
see, he might have had a hard time in those singer-songwriter days of the 70s because I mean he isn't your archetypal singer-songwriter. It's not sensitive, confessional kind of stuff here. It's it's bold. It's very much quirky and based on characters. It's not confessional. It's not personal. He isn't really talking about himself at all. He's just creating these different universes with these different oddball characters for you to briefly look at and hopefully enjoy in some twisted way because they are all most of them very twisted characters. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he has a very interesting perspective on things. Musically, he has the familiar singer-songwriter, aesthetic, but at the same time, he also incorporates a bit of, folk and country styles. The writing with all these outlaw characters and Jesse James and things like that, brings a different flavor.
Hmm.
And I could see why, he wouldn't have caught on as much as, the Jackson Brown, James Taylors of this world, uh, which presumably is why Jackson sort of helped him out here because production is really, really good. It's crisp. It's the sound is so pleasurable, and it's the same for Excitable Boy. These albums are really, really nice to listen to, and even if the subject matter can be a little harsh or you know macabre, if you will. It doesn't take anything away from the listening pleasure because it's just so well produced.
Yeah.
Zevon's voice is also very unique, very distinctive. Again, may not be everybody's cup of tea, but it works for the kind of stories he tells and the kind of characters he you know, brings alive with these songs.
Mhm.
It's yeah, Popo Pretty Me, Carmelita, Mohammed's Radio, Desperados Under the Eaves. But if you start listening, every song has something to recommend it. It's very strong songwriting, a storyteller really at his peak form, giving it everything. And I'm not sure how does this did commercially, but as far as I remember, Excitable Boy was the one that really sort of uh,
Launched
you
him.
know
Yeah,
Yeah.
it launched him.
popularity, especially with Werewolves of London, which is ironically probably his most banal kind of track
Sure.
for a guy who deals in such exquisitely painted portraits. Something about werewolves becomes like his most known track. So that's just the
Yeah,
way the music business is, isn't it?
yeah.
But yeah, this is a very enjoyable album, and yeah, I think Z1 uh, tragically, yeah, left too soon, and even more tragically, perhaps a lot of his popularity or acclaim comes from the fact that he went too soon. I don't think too many people knew of him before he passed away, and uh, when he did pass away with that great statement of. Uh, the Wind, his last album, recorded as he was, as the life was literally pouring out of him. That probably gave him a lot of, visibility among the music fans of the time. And I think it's sad that such a gifted songwriter was not really celebrated as much as he should have in his lifetime. He
Hmm.
deserved better.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
and he's not the one that originated the saying, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." But whenever I hear that now, I immediately think of Zevon.
Yeah, yeah, and not Bon Jovi.
Yeah, because with his ill with his illness and everything,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
wasn't going to let it stop him.
yeah. No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and
All right.
especially in the context of the Wind and the way he chose to bow out of music, you can feel that this wasn't some throwaway line. He felt it
That's
and
right.
he lived it.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. All right. No, thank you, Sagosh. Thank you for that. And again, thank you for recommending this. I gotta tell you, you know, 11 tracks from track one to track 11, a great album. Um, I have more respect for him now than prior to listening to this because I cannot stand Werewolves of London. I'm sorry. I find that a parody single, like, oh, woo, I was like, what the hell is that shit? I mean, like, Werewolves of London. I'm like, it's, there's nothing in that song that appeals to me. But to me, it's a parody track. But this album, top notch,
Yeah.
top notch. Even he's got Jackson Brown on production and instrumentation. You've got members of the Eagles of Fleetwood Mac. This is Laurel Canyon
Well, yeah.
galore, of the 70s that is chipping in on and helping with this album. But and it's got to be said, he has a certain vocal delivery that is very unique.
Hmm.
He's not your like you said, the romantic storyteller kind of vocal delivery. It's very much, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I want to write about. You like it? Fine. You don't? Here it is. You move
Hmm.
on. If you don't want to, listen to it. But from Frank and Jesse James and Desperados Under the Eaves, it's a fantastic listen.
Yeah.
It draws you in. My nose is running. It draws you in, you know. Um, and I want to dive into some more of his of his albums. You know, after listening to this was an
Mhm.
amazing listen to me.
Yeah.
You know, and there's not much more I can say. It just that again, thank you, Sagosh, for recommending this. This was an amazing piece of work to listen to. Would I be buying a box set? I don't think so, but not yet. But I've heard enough that I want to hear some more. You know, barring Werewolves in London, I can't stand that shit. I'm sorry. I'm like, it's like,
But don't let werewolves taint the rest of Excitable Boy.
but that's just it. That's just it. That did taint my view of his output. You know, like
I
Werewolves
agree.
is still played on classic rock radio today.
Sure.
Why? You know, and it's sampled by Kid Rock. You know, I'm sorry, but it's like this is not, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you out there who don't know this album, this is not, and I repeat, not Werewolves of London. Okay? This is much better than that. I'm sorry. This is just so much deeper. Okay? Than a bloody howling werewolf in London right now. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's a fantastic album. You really do need to check it out. And I'm sure it's still in print. If not through Asylum Direct, I'm sure it's done on reissues. You know, you can check your local record store and get it. But, you know, it's a great album. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm sniffling here,
They
we
uh,
must carry on.
give few years back, if I'm not mistaken. Two disc.
Oh, is it? Okay, okay. It's been reissued. Okay. Sorry, Sagosh, you cut out there when we didn't get the whole. What did you say? Is it a double
They had
disc?
a delay a few years ago, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, cool. We've talked about this album before. Billy Joel with Turnstiles, released May 15th, no, sorry, May 19th, 1976. Recorded from mid 1975 to January 1976, produced by Billy Joel. Again, released for Columbia Records, playing time of 36 minutes and 22 seconds. Just a bit of a background. This album was originally recorded at the Caribou Ranch in Colorado with Elton John's backup band, featuring Dee Murray and Andrew Smith, etc. Uh, Billy Joel was not happy with the recordings. He took charge of the recording session and went back to New York and re-recorded the album from the ground up with his own backing band. Uh, but I'll give my opinion at the very end. Ken, your view?
First of all, I wonder if those Elton John band tapes exist. I'd like to hear them just for comparison. Yeah, we've talked about this album before, and it's probably because of me. Um,
It's fine.
oh my gosh, this is my favorite Billy Joel album, period. Um, it was not a commercial success at the time. Um, and this was the last one before his big breakout album, The Stranger.
Yeah.
This album could not be any more opposite from the Warren Zevon album. um,
Yeah.
uh, Billy Joel, the record company at this before this time had Billy Joel in California, trying to turn him into another Laurel Canyon artist,
Yeah.
and it just didn't work. So Billy Joel packs up and moves back to New York and 110% embraces his New Yorkdom.
Yeah.
And this is the album that came out of it. And oh, it's just amazing to me. One of the albums that's at the top of my list for best opening and closing tracks. Um,
Uh-huh.
it only has one track on this that keeps it from being absolutely perfect.
Can I guess?
Um, all you want to do is dance.
You got it.
Mm, it's a good B-side. But I can look over it. I won't if I'm listening to the album, I won't skip it. But oh gosh, um, I almost don't know what else to say about this album. Some of his greatest songs, again, the opener, "Say Goodbye to Hollywood," a strong Phil Spector vibe and feel to this.
Yeah.
It works wonderfully. Um, uh, in addition to using his own, band, um, he did quite a good job in the production and getting the sound that he wanted from this. The second track, Summer Highland Falls, you've got this phenomenal piano flow that perfectly represents a river flowing into a waterfall.
Yeah.
This is one of those examples where music matches theme and all of that. One of his best songs ever, New York State of Mind, um, is almost like a official theme song for Manhattan. It's just amazing. It's very cinematic.
Yeah.
It's jazz infused. It's the ultimate love letter to New York. Side two opens with James,
Hmm.
a very reflective song done on electric piano, which
Yeah.
he didn't do often. Um, it's very, as I said, very reflective about a friend, but it also might be about himself if he had chosen a different life path. I
That's
kind of
right.
wonder about that sometimes.
That's right.
Um, which flows into this blazing, oh gosh, prelude, which goes into Angry Young Man. Um, that
Hmm.
prelude with that piano part is it's not easy to play. I knew people in piano majors in graduate school that couldn't play this, and the one of my favorite instrumentals, and the song "Angry Young Man" is just a wonderful song about uh, youthful idealism and frustration combined,
Hmm.
and which is different from what he would write about later in his career, which is basically
Yeah.
the same themes from an older person's perspective.
Yeah.
But and that goes right into I've loved these days. I don't remember how old Joel was when he recorded this album,
I think he
but
was 30.
yeah, not old.
Yeah.
And it's a very wistful look back on life, on a life of excess and privilege, um, and which is it's almost kind of parallel to Jackson Brown's song. Um, oh, I can't remember the title of it now. But anyway, he wrote a song at 16 that was very retrospective and
Yeah,
beyond his years. Um, but anyway, and that's kind of the way this is.
Hmm.
This is a song that is usually written much later in life, but he captures it very well here. And then the closing track, Miami 2017, a broad cinematic, futuristic vision of the decline of New York City, which is very interesting considering what's going on in New York City today. Um,
Hmm. Definitely.
but yeah, it's just the music is just amazing. It's uh, like I said, it's just the scope of this song is just incredibly vast. Something that he wouldn't do again, as far as I'm concerned, for quite a few albums. But But yeah, enough of my blathering. To me, this is just a fantastic album. I would love to have a box set of this. That would include the original recordings with Elton John's band. Any other trunk songs that didn't make it on the album, or a live concert at this time.
Yeah.
And
No, that'd be good.
um, yeah, and one thing that brought this album more to the front in consciousness was, I believe it was right after this, he released a live album called Songs from the Attic, which was a live album which included several of these songs.
Yeah, that came
And
out in 81. Yeah.
yeah, and so uh, people picked that up and they discovered some of these songs. Is like, oh, wait a minute, these exist,
Yeah.
and they would go back and find this album. But anyway, this is a 10 plus album out of 10 for me.
All right, so Ghosh, what is your view on turnstiles?
So Ken saying that this is his favorite Billy Joel album got me thinking, what is my favorite Billy Joel album? And it's such a hard question to answer because when you start thinking about this incredible run that he had, like throughout the 70s till maybe 82, 83, it's just one hell of a sequence of albums. I can't pick flaws in like any of them. There may be one or two which are like a couple of you know minor degrees less than the others, but it's just a terrific run of albums. And this is just another one of the pack. I mean, I can't really find any flaws in any of these records. The kind of songwriting, musicianship, sound, the ideas that he puts forth on his musical canvas are just so wonderful. It's very hard to pick one 70s or indeed one album of Billy Joel to say the Nylon Curtain, which for a long time has been my favorite album. But you can't deny any Billy Joel record its due. This is just a songwriter at his peak, a pianist, in full flow. And there's just nothing you can, you know, pick at in terms of deficiencies on these records. And Turnstiles is just another one of the pack. Uh, as Ken said, I love that opening Phil Spector girl group beat of Say Goodbye to Hollywood. It really
Yeah,
sets
yeah,
the theme beautifully.
yeah,
And
yeah,
even the way he does Say Goodbye, My Baby, it brings, immediately makes you think of Ronnie Spector.
yeah, yeah. Be my baby. Yeah, yeah. I didn't realize that that was the inspiration, but reading up on it. But yeah, yeah,
And yeah, New York State of Mind, again, this sweeping, grand jazz statement. James, very sophisticated, very sentimental. It's pop, but it's pop at a different level. And I could go on song by song, but he's just an incredible performer, an incredible musician, a great songwriter. And he's just flowing at his peak here. This is amazing stuff. Turnstiles is an album that I'm not as well versed with as a lot of the other 70s Billy Joel albums. Like, I listen to Piano Man a lot, Stranger a lot, 52nd Street probably the most. This album somehow fell through the cracks for me. I haven't heard it much. In fact, I think this is probably my first listen all the way through, although I've heard a few tracks here and there, but I don't think I've ever heard the album in total. But it's a hell of an experience. I mean, this man could do no wrong at this point.
okay. Mm. Thank you for that. What else can I say to add in that for me, we've had this discussion, Jim, Ken, and I, about the difference between Billy Joel and Elton John. In that, coming up at the same time and releasing albums throughout the 70s. I favor Billy Joel over Elton John. I truly do, from the bottom of my heart. Uh, in terms of richness and texture and just writing overall, composition wise, he's just heads and tails above Elton John. This for me is where he's still considered singer-songwriter. And The Stranger for me is where the the hits started to come. You know, this is when with the Stranger Story is when he started to go top 10 or top 20 on the charts. Um, but right at this point in 76, he's still entrenched in the singer-songwriter uh, mold. Okay. And if you notice, this is where Elton John started to go off the rails just a little bit, you know, with Blue Moves, etc. Um, I think that this album, from top to bottom, the more I listen to it, is great. I will agree with Ken. All you want to do is dance. B-side. You know what I mean? You could have made a good strong album of 7 songs, you know, clocking in at just over 33 minutes. You know what I mean? It would have
Mhm.
been a good strong album
Yeah.
from track 1 to track 7. But say goodbye to Hollywood. Come on. I mean, the drums from Liberty DeVito. Like, hello, hello, give me a break. I mean, and I didn't realize that it was that the inspiration was Phil Spector's, you know,
Mhm.
"Be My Baby" production kind of thing. But when I listened to him, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Uh, Summer Highland Falls. Amazing, amazing. New York State of Mind, jazz galore. This is jazz at its premium. James, you know what? As a good start to side two, wonderful track. Very poignant, very heartfelt. Prelude, and the young man, done. Mic drop. Mic fucking drop. Pardon my language, but there you go. The piano intro, the just the whole arrangement of the track. I've loved these days. This is someone again looking back at his life, even when could be someone in their 50s, 60s, could be someone in their 30s. It's
Mhm.
timeless.
Mhm.
It's timeless.
Yep.
And Miami 2017, again, great album closer. So I and it's kind of interesting how we compared, or I've compared the catalog of Elton John and Billy Joel when you've got the Elton John's backing band performing in the original recordings that was
No.
supposed to be for this album. And I think it took a lot of courage for Joel to say, you know what, I don't like where this is going. The producer who produced Chicago's albums, his name is escaping me right now, but for him to say, you know what, I don't need you for this. I'm sorry. Thank you for your contribution, for your work, but this isn't working for me. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And doing it himself
Yeah.
takes a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot, especially when you have Columbia on your back saying, "We need the hit. We need the hit." You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like,
Mhm.
trust us, kid. We know what we're doing. Give us back the tapes. F you and the horse you came in on. I'm not doing that. I'm doing this myself. And I think it took a lot of courage, you know, to do that. I think it's a great album. Um, Minus, all you want to do is dance. But 9.5 out of 10. If I was to give it a rating, 9.5 out of 10. You
Mhm.
know? Okay, everyone, start your hate mail now. Send your comments now. Go for it. We must carry on, ladies and gentlemen. The fourth, I was going to say third, fourth and final album in this set of albums that we're looking at for 50th anniversaries. Blue Oyster Cult, Agents of Fortune, the band's fourth release, released on May 21st, 1976, recorded from 1975 to 1976, another release for Columbia Records, the third of four albums, third album in our collection to be recorded for Columbia Records. Album was produced by Murray Krugman, Sandy Pearlman, and David Lucas. Uh, Massive playing time of 36 minutes and 35 seconds, featuring the hit single Don't Fear the Reaper and This Ain't the Summer of Love, the second single. I'll give my my 2 cents at the very end. Just a little quick note. This album marks, I believe, the first album to not include any material written by co-lead singer Eric Bloom, and every band member does sing lead on at least one track on this album. 10 tracks in total. Ken, what is your opinion of Agents of Fortune?
I've never jumped into the deep end, so to speak, of Blue Oyster Cult.
It's deep.
It's deep.
It's deep.
So this may be the first time I've ever really listened to it, all the way through. To me, it's very 70s as far as the sound. The standout track, Don't Fear the Reaper, stands out for a darn good reason. Um, I think it's a phenomenal track. And for me, on this album, it really stands out amongst the rest of the songs on this album.
I would
Um,
agree.
I only get little bits and pieces of things from the other songs. Like, okay, well, that's pretty good. Overall, the album, aside from Reaper, is very meh for me. Um, it does make I know Blue Oyster Cult has a strong following. So it does make me curious if this is um, indicative of most of Blue Oyster Cult's catalog. I don't know. Is there more Don't Fear the Reaper out there on other albums that I just have never heard? Um, but yeah, this is not an album that I will visit as an album. I may try it again just to see if my couple of listenings this week fares any better on repeat. But it's got the one track that's phenomenal. Um, but other than that, it's a man for me.
Okay. Sagosh, you have you?
So I come into this pretty close to blind as well. The only thing I knew of Blue Oyster Cult before this album was Don't Fear the Reaper, and I think I'd heard one other song, Astronomy, both of which were pretty good tracks. But again, I I had this idea that they were this big 70s hard rock kind of band, and that was the impression I had, that the gentleness of Don't Fear the Reaper was supposed to be something of an aberration. That is what I had expected. So I expected a lot more sort of hard rocking stuff from this album. When I listen to it, I will say the one thing that strikes me here is it's very diverse. You can't really pin them down to a particular style or sound or anything like that. There's a lot of I mean, you could call it experimentation. At the same time, somebody else would call it disjointed or confused. It depends on your perspective, I guess. But for me, I liked that, one song wasn't really an indication of the next.
Hmm.
Something new at you on practically every track. Like the surprise inclusion of Patti Smith on The Revenge of Veera Gemini.
Yeah.
That really came to the blue. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, there were a few interesting moments. Like I liked Morning Final. I thought, the closer Debbie Denise is a nice little ballad. Uh, every other song had some kind of interesting element. The sound wasn't. I mean, yes, you could definitely listen to it and make out it was all 70s, but it didn't strike me as anything specific in terms of oh, this is like exactly like this band or this particular style, or this is your typical 70s hard rock or anything like that. I don't think you could pin these songs down as anything specific. And I found that interesting. And well, like Ken said, I'm not very familiar with Blue Oyster Cult, so it might be worth it to take a look at some of the other albums and see where they go from here, because this album doesn't really give me any clear indication of what they are as a band or what their sound is. I mean, there is some basic level guitar based rock kind of assumption, but beyond that, it's not very clear exactly what their core strength is, so to speak.
Mm,
Undoubtedly, Don't Fear the is way out there. I mean, it's a song that kills the album in a way, because you're not going to get there again, are you? You put that song in an album, everything else is going to be outshined. So it's really hard. When you have something of that quality, it's really hard to catch up. So I suppose I sympathize with them at some level. It's hard to build a whole album around a track as iconic as that. But to their credit, they keep it varied, they keep it interesting. It's not one dimensional for sure. It's and since you said every band member contributes to lead vocal, so presumably that has something to do with it. Maybe it's just that they gave everybody a chance to contribute musically, so it
mm,
led to a lot more perhaps. Uh, but yeah, and, I like that, even though I won't necessarily pick any songs as particularly fantastic apart from Reaper, but they all had their moments, and it definitely makes you want to listen more and you know build a more fairer assessment after going through a few records.
mhm. Okay. Well, I mean, well, thank you for that, Sagosh. For me, I did an album ranking with Bill Schuster a few months ago. Thank you for everybody for watching it. And in doing the ranking, I thought this was going to be my number one. It wasn't. Um, uh, my goodness. I do feel that, hmm. First of all, quickly, with Blue Oyster Cult, their Svengali manager, Sandy Pearlman, all due respect to him, he created this mystique about the band being, these uh, bikers in a gang that actually wrote music and sang and recorded, which the band didn't like, they didn't appreciate. He also created stage names for every band member and, like all these alternate personas or whatever. And out of all of them, only Buck Dharma stuck throughout the recording duration of their career. Donald Rozier, right? And the reason why possibly that Don't Fear the Reaper, and I agree with Ken, it does stand out on the album, and yourself, Sagosh. The reason why it probably does stand out on the album is that it was apparently written by Buck Dharma for a solo album that he was going to do.
Hmm.
But he gave it to the band to record for the album. And it sticks out. It is a cut above the rest. Um, had record companies, back in my day and back in the 70s, record companies used to put, the hit single at the very end of the album, right? To give the fans a chance to listen to the rest of the album before they get to the big single. Maybe if they did that with this, maybe it would have, given the album I mean, it was a massive seller for the band, right? But it was a massive seller, in my very humble opinion, on the strength of Don't Fear the Reaper. Had they maybe put this at the end of the album, maybe would have given the album a better chance. You know, I prefer, and in saying that, I prefer Buck Dharma's vocals to Eric Bloom's vocals. I'm sorry, I do. Shoot me now. You know, I just, I find. I find that Eric Bloom's vocals take a take a bit of time to get used to. I find them very harsh in certain in a certain way. I can't even explain it. The inclusion of the surprise inclusion of Patti Smith, on the Revenge of Your Gemini, uh, and of side one, and Debbie Denise on side two. I like Debbie Denise. I think it's a nice ballad-oriented track, a really good way to end the album. I think it's melodic as all get out. I will amend what I just said. I think that Debbie Denise should have been the next single instead of The Summer of Love. This ain't the Summer of Love. I think that it would have, for me, it would have given the album uh, a better chance, and it would give the album more. How can I put this? I'm not doing really good right now, guys. It would give the fan base more variety to listen to.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Versus, okay, Don't Fear the Reaper, massive hit out of the gate. Boom. Ethereal vocal done from Buck Dharma. Wonderful guitar work. Even on that breakdown section that comes in. When everything sounds like everything's going to hell.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Or when they're going into the bowels of hell in that section. Wonderful track. I think that if they had used Debbie Denise as the second single, it would have given it more variety for the fan base and more of a chance, even though this was a massive seller.
Yeah.
Had they, could they, come up with the goods for the following albums? It wasn't until Agents of Unknown Origin that, they even stood a chance with that
Yeah.
at in that time frame. But that was 5 years down the road with Agents of Unknown Origin. So I mean, yeah. Long story short, too late. I think that this album, how can I put this? It, it's okay. It's not a strong album, with the exception of, again, Don't Fear the Reaper, The Revenge of Vera Gemini, and Debbie Denise. I think it's inconsistent. Sorry, it is. The more I listen to it, although this was high on my list for the album ranking, I think that the more I listen to it, the more I find that it's more inconsistent. But and I do like the fact that you've got Patti Smith on backing vocal, on this album on the two tracks. Um, I don't know. It's just it's a meh album. The more I listen to it, I listen to it, I'm like, like, okay, what else do we have? That kind of thing. But anyways, that's my opinion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, start your hate messages right now.
The saddest thing about this whole thing, Don't Fear the Reaper. There are thousands of people out there that don't realize it's a real song.
Yeah,
They only know it
yeah,
from the Saturday Night Live skit
I know,
and don't realize it's a real song.
I know, I know. God bless, what's his name? Christopher
Christopher
Walken.
Walken.
Yeah. And the band did say when they saw the Buck Dharma, I think it was Buck Dharma that said that, yeah, okay, it was a skit, I get it, but and it brought them back in the public consciousness. But at the
Yeah.
same time, he did resent the fact that they were making fun of the song because he said, we were serious musicians, and it kind of degraded or demeaned what the song was about, you know. Um, I I I still, Don't Fear the Ripper again is still played on classic rock radio today. It's got such a wonderful ethereal feel to it in terms of the vocal from Buck Dharma. Um, Even the guitar work on it is just so signature in terms of the style of music that was coming out in the 70s at the time for hard rock. But even then it stood above, just like Bohemian Rhapsody a year before stood out. This stood out above what was going on at the time,
Yeah.
you know?
And
Um,
listen to the album version, not the single version.
yeah, yeah. Guys, listen to the album version. Screw the single version. Don't
Through the
don't
single version.
don't go for the edit. Go for the full, seriously, go for the full, like 5 minutes and 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Five
It's not
minutes and
that
eight
long. Yeah.
seconds. That's a latte. Come on. I mean, like, that's like going for a latte with a friend. Sit down and
And
listen to
please,
this thing.
and please comment down below in
Low.
the
Yeah.
comment section. Um,
Which do you prefer?
if you cannot, if if I'm not the only one that associates this song with Stephen King now,
Yeah.
because they use the song in the opening of the first episode of the Stand miniseries
Yeah.
from the 80s, which
Oh,
I still love to this day.
with Gary
It,
Sinise.
yeah,
Yeah.
it fit so well,
Yeah.
where they used it, in that opening episode, the opening of the first episode. It works so well, and they used the entire song
Yeah.
and to play behind the credits. And
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
that was a masterpiece of programming
There you go. And
to use that song.
by the way, The Stand, it took me 5 times to get through the book to read it to the very end.
Oh,
Okay. 1,200 plus pages, ladies and gentlemen. No,
oh,
no, if you can avoid
yes,
it.
yes,
No. It's like,
yes.
no.
It's
Okay.
a masterpiece.
Yes, it is. Sagosh, do you have anything more to add?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Album celebrating the 50th anniversaries. I want to thank Sagosh and Ken for joining me on this episode. You know what? I've always loved, yes,
We might want to drop a little hint. We've got one more episode for
yes,
May
yes, yes,
anniversaries.
yes,
You're not going to want to miss that one.
yes, ladies and gentlemen. Originally, there were 5 albums in the 50th anniversary list to talk about, but to spread it out and, give us a bit of variety. There is one album that I moved to the 40th anniversary edition episode, album celebrating the 40th anniversaries, and you just have to wait to hear what that is. You know,
They're not going to want to miss that one.
actually, no,
On the
my mistake. There were
two albums
2 albums.
from the
It's been one of
70s and
those
one
days,
from the
ladies and
60s.
gentlemen. There's only coffee in the cup. I swear to God. Now,
Maybe
yeah,
that's the
we
problem. Yeah.
exactly. You know, good. We had literally a full list of albums to talk about in the 50th anniversary episode. So I moved 2 of the albums to the 40th because we only had one album celebrating its 40th anniversary for 1986. So we have 2 more to talk about coming up. That's a leftover for the 40th anniversary episode. Again, I want to thank both Ken and Sagosh for joining me on this interesting episode, to say the least. And we will be back with albums celebrating the 40th anniversaries coming up. Please put down in the comments your opinion of this episode and these albums that we talked about. And yeah, it's again, as I started to say, it's always fun doing episodes with these two. Bill was hopefully going to join us for this episode, but he wasn't able to make it. Hopefully, he'll be back for the 40th anniversary episode. Again, put your comments down below. Click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content we got coming up. We are now on X, so please join us on X. And yeah, this has been interesting. It's been an interesting list. So for Ken and Sagosh, I'm Armando signing off. Please look after yourselves and one another, and we'll see you soon again on the Music Den. Bye for now.